You're listening to Two Babies in a Business, a podcast about really running a business. Peter and I focus on how we balance being partners in all things, but also how we balance kids and work-life balance and being bosses. We have another lovely boss with us here today, Emily Lundy, who's our marketing specialist at CIPR. And we're going to talk about one of our corporate values. Peter and I have been chatting through lots of different topics, but obviously our cultural values are important topics. We have 4 at CIPR: confidence, client focus, kick-ass, and kindness. And Emily's joining us today to talk about the lovely word confidence. Hi, Emily.
Hey, I'd say we're going to talk about more than just the word. We're going to talk about what it all means.
Yeah, hopefully. I just want to say that as a boxer, I like to confidently kick ass kindly.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
With a focus on your...
No client focus. It's all good.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah, confidence is one of our core values. And I would just maybe start off by saying that Christina and I have always been exceedingly confident people. So for us, confidence is true. She laughs. But I feel like we're both pretty confident people in general, just as a way of being. And so I guess my question to Emily is, how does it, with that backdrop and and that is our core value, how do you feel about confidence in this company and your role?
Well, actually, when you said that, Peter, I was thinking, there's that saying where you become, and, some people buy into this, some people don't, but there's that saying where you become the amalgamation of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Nice.
And so whether or not you subscribe to that, I think that's very true here at CIPR. I think you guys do a great job of, instilling confidence in the team and empowering us to feel confident as well. So I'd say whether or not you've always been that way, Christina, you both do a great job of at least acting confident these days.
It's an act, totally. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's an act. I think it's kind of, for me, this cultural value really, I think, was born out of 2 things. So one, for me personally, I caught early on, because I think when you start an agency all by yourself, right? Like left the corporate world, people thought I was nuts in 2015. And, I kind of was, but obviously not. It worked okay. But I would write a lot of I think. So I'd be, creating this communication strategy. One of the first ones I ever written was that I ever wrote for under CIPR was for the Fernie Chamber of Commerce. And I remember crafting the email to Patty, who I'm still in touch with. She's not there at the chamber anymore. And it was like, blah, blah, blah. I think I'm pretty sure. And I remember reading it back and I went, oh my God, they've hired an expert to tell them to do something. And I'm not even telling them to do anything. I'm telling them I kind of think that it'd be cool if you did this. And so for me, it was like stepping into this, no, I'm a consultant now. I've been hired to do something. I need to say this. And so I've been I used to have a sticky on my screens as I use my hands that said, I don't think I know. And I would lean on that for it took me a long time. I don't have that sticky anymore. So I know. But the other piece that I think of it evolved to is, I'm not going to say who it was, but I was with someone who was on our team, and we had bumped into a colleague of theirs that they no longer work with. And the colleague said to them, oh, where are you now? And I was kind of, on the side of this conversation. I wasn't, part of it. I was just eavesdropping as I do. And, this teammate who I love dearly said, oh, I'm just with this small agency. And it wasn't malicious and it wasn't negative and it wasn't, and at the time, for sure, you were just with this small agency. But to me, inside, it was no, I want my team to feel confident in I'm with CIPR. It's this really wicked place. We're doing great things. We've got over 50 clients, we're in all of these different spaces. And I went, I'm not, as a leader, doing a good enough job instilling this like passion and excitement. We need to be confident about who we are as CIPR. So that for me, that's like the confidence is the two.
So I'm going to take a completely different angle on this whole one, because I find it interesting that confidence in how you're describing it is I know, and I agree with you. I think obviously we know what we know and we're confident in what we know. But one of the things for me, especially when I was younger, growing up, like sort of younger in my work experience, I always had this thing of like, if I didn't know, I would always sort of like pretend I knew or try to make up some answer or whatever. And to me, that's the opposite of like actually saying I don't know is a very confident answer.
Yeah.
And you know what, I don't know, but I'm going to get back to you. And so, I think that there's a lot of empowerment in I don't know, and sort of like, when you try to like fake some answer or fudge something or make something up, it's like, people can see right through that, right? And so I think that I know and I don't know are two sides of the same coin, and the coin is confidence, right? And I think I hope that something we instill in our staff, and Emily, I'm going to ask you this, is if you don't know the answer, what do we say?
I don't know, but I'll find out.
Oh, there you go. Oh, very good. Very good. Good answer.
I think to take those 2 points and kind of bring them together, I think where confidence comes from, no matter whether you're bringing it to work or you're bringing it into your personal life, it's just about knowing yourself. And if you know yourself, you've got that moment, Christina, where you can say, I don't think I know. But to your point, Peter, you can say, actually, I don't know, but I'm going to go find out, or I'm going to put in some time and some research and figure it out for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think maybe that's something we do quite well at CIPR, is we spend a lot of time on Enneagram personality, on DISC assessments, on agile DISC, we do a lot of training around a lot of things related to personality and our strengths and our, we recently, one of the things we've been talking a lot about with our coach Steve, who we mentioned a lot on this podcast, is our DISC personalities vis-a-vis our leadership styles. And the interesting thing about the kind of 4 leaders on this team is that we're all quite different on the DISC and quite in different parts of the DISC. And it's interesting because certain things that Christina is just natural to her are very unnatural to another one of the leaders, and vice versa. And so there's a lot of learning there on how to sort of become more confident as leaders, but using tools like so what you said there, Emily, of like just knowing yourself, right? And I think the more time you can spend learning about and knowing yourself and your strengths and weaknesses, the more confident you can be to say I know or I don't know, or this is where I need some help, or this is where, hey, I admire you because you're good at that, and I'm not, right? And so I mean, you guys have heard me many times, I'm really terrible at certain things, and I own it, and it's all good.
It is. Emily, what advice would you give for, I feel like, someone in comms or marketing that's trying to, get in? I feel like it's like a world that you need confidence. I feel like the healthy dose of the type of confidence Peter's talking about, the healthy dose of, not fake it till you make it. Cause I think that's like a worn out thing that's not really a thing, but that confidence of like, I'm going to try this. Like what advice would you give your peers?
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of said a big one. Know yourself. Know as much of yourself as you can. And that's going to be a lifelong process, because you're not the same person as you were 5 years ago, and there's nothing you can do to change that. So really get to know yourself and keep doing it. But as someone who is raised as a fiercely independent young lady, just because that's how she went, ask for help when you need it. Have the confidence to ask for help when you need it, because you will have a learning opportunity in it, and then you can gain that confidence there. And then the next time it happens, you don't have to ask for help because you already learned it, and then you've got confidence in that area. So you're constantly, by knowing yourself and asking for help, you're constantly getting better, and you're constantly strengthening your own confidence.
Very good. Well, I have a question for you related to this, is where does everything that has value in life happen?
Whoa, that's an awfully big question, Peter.
It's an easy question, actually.
What was the question?
Everything that has value in life, where does that take place?
within
Where
you?
does it, where
I
does
feel
that
like
happen?
this is like a test.
Okay, I'll give you the answer is outside of your comfort zone. And so, you know,
I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say at the bank.
yeah, no, I
So
think
true.
comfort zones, right? So it's like, I think being
That's
comfortable
true.
is honestly like the place where like people's like spirit and energy dies. And I see it all the time. And then people like live this life of fear. And then it's like, so for me, the opposite of confidence. And so like, if you can get outside your comfort zone and live and be comfortable being uncomfortable, I think that is where confidence actually develops and gets nurtured, and that's where all the greatest things in life happen. So there you go. There's my greatest wisdom that I can bestow upon anybody in my life. There it is. You just all got it.
I think there's and maybe this is, my age talking, but I think there's a challenge for some people when you're first starting in any industry, but whichever one you've chosen, of doing that, of getting outside of your comfort zone. And funnily enough, I think the answer actually lies. You guys have seen The Sound of Music, Julie Andrews, Christopher
Yeah.
Plummer. So you know the song she sings, "I have confidence in confidence."
Yeah.
If you have confidence in nothing else, have confidence in confidence so that you can push yourself outside of your comfort zone.
Totally.
Because
Totally.
I think it's going to be hard for anybody to do that, especially if you lack that confidence. So just
Totally.
I think maybe it's not a fake it till you make it moment, but it is a have confidence that you'll get through it. You just have to kind of swim through the weeds.
Yeah.
First.
I love that. I love that. And I mean, the other thing I'll say, since I'm imparting so much wisdom on this conversation right now, is the other thing I'll say is that, and I really strongly believe this, but the stories you tell yourself are what's going to manifest. And so if you tell yourself, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this, I'm not good at this, I'm not good enough, it's like, you're right. Whereas if you change a story in your mind, that's the beginning of getting outside of your comfort zone, is actually changing your story and starting to tell yourself. And that's, I think, kind of what you're having confidence in the confidence, right? It's like, yeah, I can do this. It might not be perfect, but I can try, right? And then you just take those baby steps out, and then eventually that turns into that sort of that learned confidence of getting out of that comfort zone and just trying, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think that's huge. I mean, I talked about this. I talk about that concept a lot. I talked about it recently. Well, not even recently anymore, but on a podcast I was on with our friend from Kamloops there, Peter, Jason Hewlett, just about the fact that, like, you tell yourself these things and you make them part of your life. So it's like, for me, it was like, I need to be home between the hours of 5 and 9 a.m. because my children might need me, or that's prime time for all of these things. And, no, I really don't need to be. I need to be if Peter is not home, but Peter is perfectly capable of, dealing with the shit that can come up, quite literally, at those times in the morning, and I can have that time for myself. And I do think it's this, like, again, the story you tell yourself, and a lot of the time it doesn't feel like that's about being confident, but it 100% is. That's confidence in my partnership, obviously, with you, Peter, to get things done, in my confidence in the team, that if something happens at work in that time, it's covered, confidence in myself to actually, like, stay accountable to the goal and go and do it, and go to spin or go work out or go on a walk or do what I need to do. But I think that's absolutely huge. And I think even early on at CIPR, when it was like, I'm gonna write this social content today, it's gonna be fine. Sometimes was like what I needed to tell myself, because it was like, okay, do I know what I'm doing? I've worked in government and oil and gas. I'm used to writing, social media posts that are pretty out there and advocacy focused and gonna light someone on fire, and all of a sudden I'm writing for a travel store in Calgary, and okay, let's plan our perfect camping trip. It's quite, you're switching into these different things. And
Yeah, I do want to acknowledge, though, kind of, obviously I was being a little jokey there on a couple things I said, but unfortunately not everybody had an environment growing up that enabled them to be confident people. And I want to acknowledge that, because I think some people, unfortunately, just get a really tough situation in life where it's like they're being beaten down and told their whole lives by their parents, by their families, by whatever, that they can't. And there's a really interesting book called The Biology of Belief, and there he talks about in the first 6 years of your life, you're in this theta state in terms of your like wavelengths of your brain, and that's actually the same state as hypnosis. So really, you're basically being programmed for the first 6 years of your life, and then after that is you kind of wake up, and then you're sort of starting to be your own person. And so if you're told messages your whole life around you're not good enough, you're not strong, you can't do it, blah blah blah, that's a really hard place to come out of. And so I don't want to sort of minimize the fact that I think I was probably pretty lucky, where I had some pretty supportive parents. Plus, I just was always fiercely independent, I think, like you, Emily, like what you described there. And so I created my own confidence. I had a good situation that allowed me to do that, but that's not necessarily where everybody's coming from. And I think what I'll say in response to that is you can always change your programming. It's not easy, it's super hard. And it starts, in my opinion, back to what I said, is you need to start changing the story in your own mind, and you need to start ignoring all those people around you that told you that you can't. And then it's just about those little baby steps and those little things you can do and little wins. And, you got to build confidence slowly, one step at a time. So I think, I didn't want to sort of minimize. You just be confident. It's easy. It's just not. You get that.
No, it's definitely not. No. I think the biggest motivator, I suppose, if you will put it that way, to build your own self-confidence and your own self-love, and literally to just be a human in the world that is good to yourself, because you should be, is, and it's a bit of a dark thought, but bear with me, you are the only person you will ever have forever.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Everybody could walk out on you. You could lose your job tomorrow, knock on wood, that doesn't happen for you, but you could lose everything and everyone. You are the only person that you have forever. So treat yourself well, believe in yourself, nurture yourself, give yourself the tools that you need for success, but you are worth it.
Totally.
Hashtag motivation with CIPR.
Yeah, no, 100%. You're absolutely right about that. And yeah, it's not easy, but I think it's worth it, right? And I think it's a journey and confidence. And I get to say, I started off as, me and Christina are very confident people. I've had times in my life where I've been very not confident and very struggling to get, just to, what the hell am I doing? Where's this all going? And so it's not just like you're born confident and you're that way and you're always that way. It's like a work in progress always. And to your point, you're not the same person you were 5 years ago. And then, my mom died and I moved cities and things happened and I was in a situation and all of a sudden I wasn't confident anymore. And so, it's like a lot of life happens in a lifetime, right? And a lot of things can derail your confidence, right? And so I think to your point is the more time you can spend loving yourself and being kind to yourself and nurturing to yourself, the more chance you have of building up that confidence and getting to a better place.
Totally. And give yourself grace too, because you're going to mess up. You will.
Totally.
We all do. So.
Exactly.
And I think it's the one, for me, a big one has been that vulnerable trust. I think as an Enneagram 8 and as a D and then as all of the things on the personality, showing my weakness isn't something I gravitate towards. I think that, in the past, Peter, we often have this conversation about me. I think the past 3 years, even past year for me has been huge in terms of really getting to know myself more. And, Emily, to your point, you're always changing. It's I feel like I've changed a lot and I feel like I'm pretty in touch with that side of myself now and pretty open to it. And I feel like Brad from our team could, map the course of Christina the micromanager to Christina where did you go to Christina you're okay now. But it is a journey, and I think that that vulnerable trust, there's confidence in that, right? Hey, I'm just gonna let everyone know that today I am feeling away, or hey, I dropped the ball here. So Peter, to your point, there's a huge thing in that, in terms of growth and in terms of you know, when you say it out loud and when you're okay with it, like that's where confidence is born too.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. So just maybe bringing it back to agency life just a little bit, just to wrap it up. I think that vulnerable trust and that I don't know and I'm not sure and I have to find out is a huge part of confidence in this role. And we're not we're experts, but we're not experts at everything. And that's okay. And we have, luckily as a WSI agency, on the digital side, certainly we have an expert in every field I can possibly think of, but sometimes I have to find them. And sometimes I have to connect with them and learn from them or whatever, right? So I think we're in a good position as an agency to be confident with our clients that we can solve just about any problem, whether it's us directly solving the problem or not, which I think is cool.
Emily, any parting wisdom?
Oh man, wisdom? I don't know. I think learn as much as you can. It's my wisdom to you all.
Mine would be, in honor of my ski season, just try that blue run because you probably could do it, even though you don't feel confident about it. And then go try it without your husband standing halfway down the hill going, just turn to the right. Just turn to the right. No,
Pizza!
You're very supportive.
Yeah, pizza.
Yeah. Anyways, not quite at the French fries yet, but I will try my best.
But at least you tried.
Well,
that's the key thing.
True. I was confident about it. Emily, thank you for joining us to talk confidence. And thank you for always showing your confidence with our clients and with all of us as a team and kicking us in the butts when you need to.
Thank you for empowering me every day.
Anytime. It's confidence. All right. Well, this has been another episode. And Peter, nice to mix it up and have one of our incredible teammates hang out with us.
Totally. Thanks for coming, Emily.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining in for another episode of Two Babies in a Business. CIPR Communications is a public relations and digital marketing firm partnering with clients across North America to reach their brand reputation and lead generation goals. Follow us on social at CIPR Comms and check out our website ciprcommunications.com for more information. If you have questions or want to be part of a future podcast, reach out at media@ciprcommunications.com. I'm James Falls, CIPR's PR specialist, and I'm looking forward to our next episode. Subscribe on your Spotify or iTunes account so you don't miss the next one.